afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on behalf of NAIOP. Really excited to have Glenn Gardner with us, principal at Avison Young, for our inaugural 15 good minutes with someone in the local industry. So Glenn, thanks for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Ted.
Can you, just for the benefit of those tuning in, can you just explain what you do at Avison Young?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm a principal at Avison Young in Avison Young's office leasing and sales division. And really, ultimately, what that means is, we provide best-in-class information and advice to our clients so they can make strategic real estate decisions on their office space.
Great. Would you mind sharing with everyone, we're both Edmonton, sons of Edmonton, would you mind sharing the brief story of how you got to Vancouver and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. In university, I actually wanted to be a lawyer. And after bombing my LSAT, I actually asked my dad for an introduction, as he used to work for Graham Young and Associates, who was the predecessor to Avison Young. And so I actually asked my dad to ask Graham Young if he would make an introduction to the local managing partner of Avison Young's office in Vancouver. At the time was Bill Elliott, and who would actually later go on to be my business partner and mentor. And I remember when I asked Bill if he would hire me to come out into Vancouver, his exact words were absolutely not. Ultimately, through a bit of a course of time and persuasion, I ended up getting hired on by Avison Young.
And who hired you in the end?
At the time, I was actually working with another principal in our office named James Lewis.
Oh, nice.
Originally, yeah.
When I remember making the rounds when I came out to Vancouver, and was thankful that Colliers gave me a seat, but I remember not having phone calls returned or being turned down by a large number of people. Yeah, I maybe called one or two of them just to thank them for turning it down because of Colliers gave me the role. So
I think they're just jealous of how good our Oilers are, so makes sense.
Yeah, well, we're on a roll now. Really quickly, what do your kids think you do? You've got 3 kids, and I'm always curious to know, especially because we have kids around the same age. We were actually in the same hospital ward with our first, which was a really interesting experience. But what do you tell your kids that you do?
Well, what my kids think I do is talk on the phone, and that's all. And it's become a bit of a joke in our household now because they'll walk around with a phone, a pretend phone on their head, and I'll ask them to come eat dinner, or clean up the room, or clean up their toys, and they'll give me this one, because I often do that to them while I'm on the phone trying to have a conversation. So yeah, if you ask them what I did, they would tell you I'm a professional at talking on the phone.
Talking on the phone. We had that, COVID was not good for that. Daddy, are you on a call?
Oh yeah.
All right, so what I'd like to do is get a little bit into the business. We'll talk maybe for 5-10 minutes about what you're seeing in the market, and then we'd love to learn a little bit more about you as a person. So we've got a number of questions here just to quickly get through what you're seeing in the markets today. So really quick, over under, we've probably both placed a few bets in our life. What are the chances a year from now? Currently, downtown office vacancy is 7.4%. Year from now, over under 6.5%.
Better chance that the Canucks win the Stanley Cup this year.
Then
that happening. I think it'll be above 6.5% come 12 months from today. But you know what? I actually think that's actually a really good thing. Having a super low vacancy in our market is actually not that great, right? It's difficult for you as a landlord to deal with your tenants. It's difficult for us to deal with our clients. And I think more importantly is it's difficult us as a city to attract new entrants into our marketplace. If there's no space, they're just not going to come. And the reality is a lot of these big corporations are global. So if Vancouver is their number one choice and we can't deliver to them what they're looking for, they're going to go somewhere else. And then they'll shift as quickly as they decided that Vancouver was the spot they wanted to be. So I don't think it'll be lower than that. I think it could be close to or slightly above. But I actually think that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
And we've seen that the emergence of the multi-city survey over the years, where a group is, and you've probably seen this with your clients, a group is looking at Vancouver and also Nashville and Austin and Portland at the same time, trying to figure out exactly where they're going to go. And this is all kind of modeled off of my favorite sports show, PTI. So for those of you who recognize the format here, we're going to move to what's the word. So what I want is I'm going to pose a question to you, and then you say the word and why. So let's start with the downtown sublease market is
like Zoolander, so hot right now. You know, but again, I put an asterisk next to that because it really depends on the type of sublease that's being delivered into the marketplace. If it's got good quality improvements, a bit of term left on it, it's going to move quickly. You know, the older sublease product that only has a year or not a lot of term left, it moves a little slower. But the market for high quality subleases is very hot.
Yeah, and we're certainly seeing that as well with improved spaces. Unimproved, really improved, not so much. Overall demand in the downtown market is?
Like Snoop Dogg, high. You know, it's you know, and when you say, you know, overall demand in the market, you know, I'm talking sort of Metro Vancouver, you know, whether we're out in Burnaby, you know, Mount Pleasant, downtown Yaletown, you know, the demand for high quality product in those markets is very high. And you know, if you rewound a year ago, you know, you never ran into a situation where you had multiple bids on a property. And now you're in a situation where you could have 1, 2, 3 offers on the same space, and you know, it becomes more difficult as a landlord or a tenant to make a decision on it. But you know, ultimately that's a good thing, right? The demand's coming back into our market.
We are seeing that exact same thing. We've got a handful of spaces with multiple interests, coupled with multiple offers. It feels like a different time than a year ago today, and it obviously is. So, the Broadway plan came out yesterday, or the draft plan. Pretty ground-moving, impactful plan. If you were to say if the impact of the new Broadway plan will be,
I think it's going to be game-changing. You know, the reality is, you know, as we get, you know, further along as a city and develop more, and you know, there's not an endless amount of supply in our market. So you have to continue to adapt to these areas and deliver the product that people are looking for. And eventually, you know, downtown is a peninsula. Eventually, at one point in time, it's going to be fully built out. And the Broadway plan provides another node that we can look to build on. And in addition to that, just not on the commercial space, but on the housing front, right? If you want to attract the likes of some of the companies that we've been able to attract, you got to give their employees somewhere to live. And the Broadway plan not only adds a lot of commercial component to it, but it adds a lot of residential density to it as well. And so I think, you know, if you fast forward 10 years from now, you know, we could have just another node in our city that can attract and retain some of the best talent in the world.
Certainly an ambitious plan, and one that I was really excited to look over last night. The number one thing that you are counseling clients to consider about their real estate needs right now is?
You know, to take a critical look at their office environments. You know, as employers begin to welcome back their employees, they really have to offer an environment that employees want to come back to. And so, you know, I think that, you know, our clients really have to take a look at the type of environments that they're delivering to their employees. And a lot of them have been, and a lot of them are making changes or looking at, you know, getting new office space so that they can continue to attract them back into the market. Because ultimately, it may not be full time, but, you know, most of our clients want to welcome their tenants or their employees back. And it's extremely important that they do so that their, you know, the longevity of their business just keeps going down the
line. Next question is more about change, giving you a magic wand. If you had a magic wand and you could change one thing about the environment we're working in right now, what would that be?
Timelines. Like if there's anything that I wish we could change, is timelines. And whether that's, the ability to deliver new office space or a client's ability to build out new office space, everything just takes so much time. And you know, there's certain things I think we could do to expedite that. But when I start to think critically about, you know, what does Vancouver look like in 5 and 10 years from now, you know, we need to be able to move the marker down the line to deliver new office space, to be able to get our clients to be able to build out their office space faster. So if there's anything I could wish we could change, it would just be timelines.
Yeah, that's my answer as well. Permit times, right? The fact that a project, you know, the Stack, we purchased that piece of property in 2010, and it will open in 2012, or sorry, 2022. 12 years to bring product to market. We need to figure that out if we're going to be a world-class city. So on to some more personal, really quick hits. Learn a little bit more about Glenn Gardner. What podcast are you listening to right now?
32 Thoughts, which is with Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick. And I'm a big hockey fan, and I don't always have a lot of time to listen or watch. So it's kind of it's a quick snippet of what's going on and what's happening, and it kind of keeps me up to date. Any
honorable mentions? Anything else?
They talk about the Oilers a lot, so I like that.
And the Canucks, not so much, but maybe that'll change in time. Social media channel, what are you using? Where can people find you?
The only one I have is LinkedIn now. I've sort of eliminated the other ones just because they were sucking up a little bit too much of my time. But I think LinkedIn is great. It provides sort of an update on what people are up to, on what companies are doing, news articles. You know, I think a platform that provides both a bit of entertainment, education, and updates, I think is fantastic. And LinkedIn is where I get that.
I think I've deleted Instagram 15 times in the last 2 years and then reinstalled it.
I deleted it 2 years ago and haven't reinstalled it yet.
Yeah. What's your favorite business book?
There's a book called The Compound Effect by a guy named Darren Hardy. And I like it a lot because, you know, in an age or a time, I guess, where everything is sort of instantaneous, our expectations become instantaneous. And the compound effect is really about, you know, doing things over and over and over and over and over again to get to a result that you're trying to get to. Instead of looking for the quick hit, it's about just putting in the work every day to get the result in the end.
Do you ever think that you could write a business book by just having some, you know, never eat alone? Like, someone probably made a lot of money by writing a book about going for lunch, right?
Yeah, there's a good app. I can't remember the name of it. There's a good app though, where you can basically download, it gives you snippets of these books, all the sort of points. You know, you read a business book and by the 8th chapter, like, I understand the concept. You don't have to keep you don't have to keep going on it.
If your career wasn't in commercial real estate, what would it be in?
Well, I would have liked to have been a professional hockey player, but I was never good enough or big enough for that. So I think I would defer to being a lawyer.
What can you share a bold prediction for Vancouver in 2022?
I think we're going to see somebody who's not here right now, a company who's not here right now, plant a big flag in our city in 2022. I think we're going to see somebody new come in and really open up or commit to opening up a big facility in Vancouver.
Certainly, we are on the stage and have seen a number of big groups come to the market. And that wouldn't surprise me one bit. What has been the silver lining for you throughout the pandemic?
I'm sure it's the same as a lot of people's responses, but, you know, just time with my children has been the big one for me. You know, I used to, before the pandemic, get home a little bit later than I should and maybe not be as responsive as I should. And the pandemic sort of took everything back and gave us time. And so I've enjoyed the process of coaching my kids hockey and baseball and a bunch of those sports. And my kids are young, like your kids are young. So, you know, getting that time now has been awesome. And they still like hanging out with me.
Yeah.
So that's really been the big benefit. What's your benefit? What have you liked?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when COVID started, my son was 2. right? Now he's 4.
Yeah, yeah.
And it seems like it went by really fast, but it seems like it was also pretty protracted. And you know, had a bit of time to go back to school, get an extra degree, which has been great. So just a little bit more time to, know we've all been overworked, progress a few other things like family and education and things like that.
You look a lot smarter.
Yeah, I have not heard that one before. Really quick, kind of a funny question. What's the most annoying thing your spouse does at home that isn't really a big deal?
You know your sink faucet?
Yeah.
You can pull it out to clean out the sink. My wife leaves the hose out on the sink faucet all the time. Like all the time. And every time I just don't understand, like, why can't you put the faucet, why can't you put it back? It's not hard, it doesn't take any time to do it. As you can tell, it still drives me crazy, and I'm not even at home right now.
Yeah, drives you nuts. No, I fold the laundry at home. No one in my family can put their socks in the laundry right side out. I'm sitting there like constantly for half an hour unfolding socks. Okay, last couple questions. If you could give someone a shout out right now, who are you shouting out to?
I'd give a shout out to my old mentor, Bill Elliott, who brought me underneath his wing 15 years ago and was a longtime business partner of mine and a very good personal friend. And I don't get to see him as much as I used to, so I'd love to give Bill a shout out.
Nice. And excluding the opening of the stack in 2022,
very exciting.
What are you most excited about for the rest of the year?
We have a lot of clients opening up new offices, and some of the designs and the quality of the space that they're delivering is unbelievable. So I'm really excited to see what the final product looks like and see how it works for their organizations and invites their employees back. So, some of our clients, we're lucky, some of our clients have the best office space in Canada. And so it's great when those open and you get to have you get to touch and feel and actually see what you did in the past.
Nice. Well, that's it. That's 15 good minutes, Glenn. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully everyone who's viewing this enjoyed a little quick hit with Glenn Gardner, and be back soon for more short interviews. Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks, Deb. Appreciate it.